T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
Booster chamber pressure nominal.
All right, we're a little over 40 seconds into flight. 33 out of
Booster
33
and ship,
Raptor
avionics,
engines.
power and telemetry nominal.
Getting good call outs, healthy systems on the booster as it starts to pitch over the Gulf. All right, we're a little over 1 minute into flight, about to pass through max Q.
Max Q.
All right, so we are through the period of maximum dynamic pressure, max stress on the vehicle as it continues to fly.
Our next major event is going to be hot staging, which is happening in just over 90 seconds from now. To get ready, the booster will shut down all but 3 of its Raptor engines. The clamps holding the 2 stages together will release, and the Starship second stage ignites its engines. The ship then separates from the Super Heavy booster and heads to space. At the same time, the 3 engines still firing on Super Heavy will flip the booster around. 10 more engines will ignite for the boost back burn, putting the first stage on the path for splashdown in the Gulf. As we mentioned earlier, the hot stage will be jettisoned for this flight, and that should occur just after the boost back burn. So we're about to shut down the first stage and perform hot staging. So let's just watch and listen.
All right, seeing the engine start to throttle down.
MECO. Ship ignition. Boost back burn startup.
Stage separation.
Stage separation confirmed. We've got 6 engines running on ship. Booster is doing its boost back burn, continuing now towards its splashdown site in the Gulf.
Ship
We are
Raptor
seeing
chamber
all 6
pressure is
Raptors
nominal.
lit up on ship. You heard them report ship chamber pressures nominal, so that chamber pressure, just that expected thrust level in those Raptor engines on the ship. 3 vacuum optimized,
Ship
3 sea
avionics,
level,
power and
all
telemetry
looking
nominal.
good. There's a view into the business end from the ship.
Boost back burn shutdown.
All right, so at this point, we finished our boost back burn, so that was shut down. So that's the first of the 2 burns after a launch that the booster is going to do today. So now it's headed towards the Gulf. It's not going to be quite as an aggressive of a flight down. We relaxed that angle of attack a little bit, but we are then going to be looking for it to do its engine tests for the landing burn, and those are going to be a little unique this time.
Yeah, typically we start with all 13 inner engines lit for that landing burn and bring that down to just the center 3. But one of our test objectives for today is to simulate what an engine out situation would look like. So we're going to be intentionally turning off one of those center 3 and instead lighting one of the engines from the middle 10 ring.
Yeah, we did see one of those engines in the middle ring shut down during the initial ascent. Oh, looks like we have hot stage jettison. You can see it floating away there to the left of the booster. Yeah, we did see one of those middle engines shut down during the ascent. Again, we are resilient to engine out on Super
Starship
Heavy.
flying
That's why we're
nominal
able to get
trajectory.
through our ascent. Starship flying on the expected path. There's still a chance that engine could be back in the mix for the very start of the landing burn, so we'll see if we light up all 13. But we've even done a landing burn at the tower with an engine out, so very resilient. We'll see how it does on its way down to the Gulf, though. All right, so we got a couple of minutes. That landing burn start should be just about 40 seconds away. That's always rad. You can see the boost plume itself in the background as it was coming in. All right, about 20 seconds to landing burn.
Ship Raptor chamber pressure is nominal.
All right, here we go.
Landing burn startup.
Looks like we got 12 of those 13.
Down to 3, including one of the middle ring. Down to 2. Nice little hover. And landing burn shutdown. And into the Gulf, here we come. And the booster has splashed down.
Incredible flight for booster today.
Meanwhile, back in space, about 7 minutes into today's flight, ship continuing its ascent burn. This goes until just about 9 minutes into our flight. That ship engine cutoff is slated for 8 minutes and 57 seconds. We are going to see those 3 RVAC, the Raptor vacuum engines. Those are the bigger circles in that little indicator on the bottom right of your screen. Those will shut down first, and we continue burning for a couple seconds longer on those inner 3 before we hit SECO, or second engine cutoff. All right, one more time. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. So we are currently in payload deploy prep. And the door is open. All right, so the payload door is open. We should see the first satellites start to deploy at about T plus 18 minutes and 27 seconds. So should be only about 30 seconds. So one step closer. Hal listened this time. He cooperated. He opened the payload door for us. There's a view kind of behind the Pez here looking out into the vacuum of space.
About 15 seconds until payload deploy.
Ship has transitioned to payload deploy. we go. Pew pew. Been waiting way too long to do that. There we go.
There goes another one. Super exciting moment, as you can hear the energy in both Hawthorne and Starbase. Everyone's super excited for finally getting to deploy some of those simulated satellites.
Pez system moving down. Next row. There we go. As we said, we're going to do about one every minute or so. And this is just kind of a dress rehearsal for when we're going to be deploying the V3 satellites. And these are just a massive, massive increase to Starlink's capability. Each one of them has its 60 terabits per second of capacity that's going to get added to the network per launch. That's 20 times more than what we're adding with every single Falcon 9 launch today, which, you know, step increase in capability. There goes another one. All right, so as we said, we've got 8 total that we're going to go through today. It's about a minute for each one, but looking good on payload deploy. All right, so we are back. We are about 45 minutes into the 10th flight test of Starship. And as you can see, the light show has started. Re-entry has begun. We are starting to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. We're moving about 5 times the speed of sound, and we're about to start barreling through the Earth's atmosphere and head for a splashdown in the Indian Ocean. We don't plan to recover the spacecraft today, but if we do make it all the way down to the water, who knows? But the goal of this part of the flight is to learn as much as we can about the ship's heat shield. A fully reusable, rapidly reusable heat shield for a spacecraft has never been done before. It's one of kind of the hardest engineering challenges still out there for us. And so this is a time to really dig in and get that data.
Yeah, absolutely. And re-entry is a critical phase of flight, so we'll need information on how the ship's system end up performing. And Starlink will also help us gather as much data as possible, which is really the main reason why we do these flight tests. Starlink provides us with one more path to collect data to help us rapidly iterate on Starship's design. And if the ship manages to make it all the way to re-entry, we'll collect valuable data on the spacecraft flying through the Earth's atmosphere at hypersonic speeds, or more than 5 times the speed of sound.
Yeah, throughout history, a lot of times this is when you go into just a complete data and insight blackout, where that plasma sheath builds up around the outside of the spacecraft that blocks all of your signals that are trying to fight through to talk to either satellites out in space or towers down on the ground. Starship's big size kind of gives us a wake, but what really helps us punch through is the fact that we're using Starlink. We're operating at just a much higher frequency. That's not what we want to see. So we just saw some of the aft skirt just take a hit. So we've got some visible damage on the aft skirt. We're continue to re-enter though. And again, we are intentionally stressing the ship as we go through this. So it is not guaranteed to be a smooth ride down to the Indian Ocean. We've removed a bunch of tiles in kind of critical places across the vehicle. So seeing stuff like that is still valuable to us. We are trying to kind of push this vehicle to the limits to learn what its limits are as we design our next version of Starship. So 47 minutes, 45 seconds into the flight, excitement ticking up a little bit on reentry already, but the light show is continuing. This reentry is going to take about 20 minutes or so. So as we get a little bit further into this reentry, that inky black below you is going to start to look like clouds and hopefully a bright blue ocean as we make our way down onto the other side of the planet. We've got these cameras. These cameras are really cool. We added these several flights ago, looking directly at the flaps as not just the heat shield, but these flaps, how they're able to control the vehicle, withstand that reentry, the seal locations, so kind of where they connect to the ship itself are some of the most critical. We will do missing tiles on those where, again, we're trying to... We're kind of being mean to this Starship a little bit. We're really trying to put it through the paces and kind of poke on what some of its weak points are. I mean, we even have missing tiles over some of those fuel tank sections of the ship itself. And so we're really trying to see what are our limits. We're doing this over a completely empty area over the Earth. Look at our Raptors there. We are, assuming we make it all the way down to the ocean in one piece, we will attempt a flip and a landing burn. We do have at least one buoy, everybody's favorite camera person, out in the Indian Ocean right now, being powered by Starlink. So that's at our planned landing location. So if we're able to get any live views of the ship, that'll essentially tell you that we nailed our target. Able to do that on our 6th flight test, do it in the daytime, which was really exciting. All right, so we're about 10 minutes until we're probably going to start hearing some of the other big milestones coming up.
Yep, in about 10 minutes, like Dan said, Starship will be transonic. This is going to be the period of flight where the velocities of airflow surrounding and flowing past the vehicle are concurrently below, at, and above the speed of sound, so somewhere in the range of Mach 0.8 to 1.2. For reference, commercial jets have a range of cruising speeds, but most of them fly at speeds between Mach 0.74 and Mach 0.85, so that's 480 to 575 miles per hour or 770 to 930 kilometers per hour.
And after transonic comes subsonic. That just means you're slower than the speed of sound. We're still well in excess of that right now. But by the time we hit subsonic, we're essentially belly flopping down. There we go. There's that sunlight. So we're seeing the Earth now come back into view. One of the other things we're doing during this, and you're going to see Starship kind of pitch in some pretty, not extreme ways, but a little extreme, as we're trying to really stress the structure of the ship itself, specifically those aft flaps, so the ones in the very bottom of the vehicle. We're pushing not just how well does the heat shield hold up, but how well does the ship structure hold up. We are pushing it beyond essentially what we think we'll have to fly at to do something like a return to launch site. So again, may not be a very smooth ride downhill, but we're doing that by design. We're really trying to find what are the edges that we can operate at, build up a good data set. But sun is up, clouds and water down below us. We are just about 10 minutes away, a little less than 10 minutes now, until we start hitting transonic and then subsonic. Once we hit subsonic, we're basically just belly flopping. All right, so about 55.5 minutes in, you can see the sun is up. Again, we intentionally designed these flights to lift off in the evening here so we get these daylight views so we can get as good a video as possible on the ship, assuming we make it all the way down. We've got at least one buoy powered by Starlink that's out there in the landing zone in the Indian Ocean, hopefully giving us a view again. If you see any live views, not from the ship itself, that means we nailed our landing target.
Starship is past peak heating.
All right, we just heard the call out that we're past peak heating, so things are looking good so far.
Yeah, looking good. And at this point, again, the flaps are controlling. So this movement you're seeing is that forward flap moving to try and just maintain control, maintain attitude of the vehicle as we're coming down. All right, so at this point, we've dropped below the speed of sound, so Starship itself is subsonic. We are starting to chill the engines for a landing burn attempt. Landing flip supposed to start in a little over 2 minutes. Subsonic Indian Ocean, we're on our way.
Starship is subsonic.
There we go. Farewell, space. All right, so coming up in just a little under 2 minutes, so we're going to do the flip and the burn. So we're only using those 3 center Raptor engines, the sea levels, the ones that can kind of gimbal, that can move around and steer. Dipping the nose down a little bit. Got 2 of our engines chilled in, waiting on 1 more. So again, we'll attempt to use 3 burns for that initial flip. We eventually go down to just 2 Raptors for the end of the landing burn.
Just about 1 minute now from that landing flip and landing burn start.
Structurally, we're looking good. Got good pressures in our nose cone for everything. Just about 30 seconds. So again, we're going to look for the flip. So Starship's doing its belly flop right now. We're going to do the flip. Swing out. Let's punch through some clouds first. Here we go.
Starship landing burn startup.
Seeing 3 engines. There's our flip. There's a buoy.
Oh my God.
There's a splashdown.
Oh my God.
Hey. Oh, man. Yeah. Farewell, Ship 37. Thank you, buoy cam. Landing flip, landing burn, splash out of the Indian Ocean. There we go. Whew.